Gran Turismo 7 Update 1.57's content has finally been confirmed. We now get an official announcement for all three of the new vehicles that are coming alongside this game and everything else that will be included inside this update, including Gran Turismo Sophy 2.1, which now allows us to do custom races on Sophy capable tracks inside of GT7, which is a massively pleasant surprise and hopefully stands as a building block for more Sophy content to come. So we'll head on over to the official Gran Turismo website to take a look at all of the new confirmed 1.57 content. Introducing the Gran Turismo 7 March update, adding 3 new cars and evolving the GT Sophy to version 2.1. Gran Turismo 7 will receive an update on the 27th of March 2025. The following is a list of contents included with update 1.57. So number 1, 3 new cars including a high performance British sports cars and leisure vehicles will be added. So we of course have the Aston Martin Vantage 2018. This is of course pulled from the data mined list, and well, it's finally here in GT7. For me, this was an absolute must in terms of Aston Martin road vehicles. I believe the other Vantage that we have is something from like 2011, kind of around that time period. So for me, it makes absolute sense that this model is at least a bit more updated, and of course, it's an incredibly cool vehicle. Now, truthfully, I think this is the one that most people are actually going to care about when it comes to this update, myself included, especially if it has decent customization options and who knows, maybe even a racing going engine swap so we can actually recreate the GT3 spec vehicle. So for me, this is a great addition and it's one that's been kind of long overdue ever since it's been on that leaked car list. Then we have the Mazda CX-30X Smart Edition 2021. Now, unfortunately, this is probably going to be the worst car of the update, and I do not understand why Polyphony keep adding these crossover type vehicles. Really, it was pretty quirky when it came to the Toyota. However, that car is absolutely terrible, and I don't think it's going to be much different when it comes to the Mazda. Yes, it will probably perform better than the Toyota we got in January, but in terms of overall appeal, I don't think many people were really crying out for this thing, and for me, it just seems like a huge waste of resources to go ahead and model this car in such amazing detail, which Polyphony will always do. So unfortunately, I don't think this is really going to be one for many players to actually enjoy. I think a lot of people will probably look at this, buy it, drive it once, and then go ahead and never touch it again. Again, myself included in that. But again, we do have the Japanese audience, which tends to absolutely love these sort of things for some reason. I think if you're going to go for more of these kind of real world type vehicles, then go for the older ones that we used to see in the original Gran Turismo games. They just have a much broader appeal to many Gran Turismo fans. Things like the Demio or the Demio A spec will have a much broader appeal than something like this, a crossover, which again, car people tend to absolutely hate these things. And of course, we have the Renault Kangoo 1.4 2001, and unfortunately, whilst I would typically enjoy this vehicle because you can do some pretty funny things with them, I just feel like the whole meme vehicle additions are wearing a little bit thin at this point. It all really started off with the Alphard, which I thought was incredibly cool. Of course, did end up getting an engine swap in the end. And then we had the likes of the Hilux Ambulance, the Hilux itself. Of course, recently we've had the Unimog. And I feel like now, seeing these getting added once again on many updates back to back, it's just kind of wearing a bit thin at this point. So whilst typically I would enjoy this vehicle, it's going to take a lot of customization options, engine swap options, etc., or some extreme quirkiness for me to actually really enjoy this vehicle this time around. Again, I feel like my patience is just wearing thin when it comes to seeing so many of these weird and wacky type of vehicles that we wouldn't see anywhere else. And unfortunately, there's very little to actually do with them outside of a few custom races and about 10 minutes of fun, and then that's kind of it. Number 2, a new 2.1 version of Gran Turismo Sophy, enabling the AI agent in custom races, will be implemented. The next generation AI agent, Gran Turismo Sophy, will evolve into GT Sophy 2.1 and will be available in custom races for the PS5 version only. GT Sophy can be selected for rival cars in custom races on all GT Sophy supported tracks and layouts within world circuits. This to me is probably the most interesting part of this update and actually a genuinely real surprise. So whilst it's still only limited to the tracks which have GT Sophy implemented, the fact we can now custom race against GT Sophy is a huge step forward. And if they continue to evolve this, then honestly it could end up as one of the best things to ever happen to Gran Turismo, period. Especially if it gets turned in to the kind of hint at B-spec and management mode along the way. This could be a serious step up for GT7 in terms of its racing AI and making it incredibly fun. Hopefully with this, gone will be the days of the AI doing really fast laps, really slow laps, really fast laps, etc, etc in custom races, and they'll be much more competitive. So for me, this is a huge step in the right direction and a very, very pleasant surprise. Again, might be a little bit limited, but considering how many different tracks now have Sophy GT implementation, this is definitely going to be something that's going to be built upon in the future. Number 3, one extra menu will be added to the cafe. Extra menu number 45, collection Suzuki at collector level 35 and above. Again, very typical. We always get one of these pretty much every single update, so no surprise we're getting another here. Seems very easy to complete, apart from maybe the Pikes Peak. Now it's time for the disappointing part. As always, number 4, new World Circuit events will be added. The following events will be added to World Circuits. We have the Sunday Cup at Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, the European Clubman Cup 600 at Deep Forest Raceway Reverse, and the Japanese FF Challenge 450 at Tokyo Expressway Central Clockwise. Again, these are more than likely going to be extremely short and quick events. Hopefully the one that has potential is the European Clubman Cup 600, but unfortunately it will probably be a very quick 5-lap sprint race, and that's it. I think a lot of my racing time and track time will be spent with Sophy in this update. Number 5, Faroe Islands will be added as a featured creation in the scapes. Thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy Gran Turismo 7. Nothing to really write home about there, just extra scapes. And there we go, that is all of the content confirmed as coming alongside update 1.57 tomorrow. Now of course we will have the patch notes released tomorrow, in which I will dive through them to see any extra changes or additions that are hidden in there. Now in terms of the update itself, well, it's a pretty poor one, apart from of course the custom Sophy AI racing settings. I think that is pretty awesome, and for me it opens up a whole world of opportunities for GT7's AI to take that step up, and I can only hope that Polyphony will continue to build upon it to the point where it's implemented into every single track inside of this game. That is a pretty exciting change that I really didn't expect anytime soon. Now of course, if we look back to the World Series finals last year, we got a hint at a possible management type B-spec mode featuring Sophy AI, and honestly if this is already going to 2.1, that could be closer than we really expect. Again, as for the rest of the content, there's not much to really write home about, and again when it comes to the likes of the Kangoo, my patience is just wearing pretty thin for those type of vehicles at this point, and we really need Polyphony to actually step up and start implementing some of those much better cars that have been on the leaked car list for what feels like forever at this point. Now of course, in terms of the sort of update schedule for 2025, it does seem very, very similar to what we saw in 2024. Consistent smaller updates, probably leading to a bigger update being announced in June when it comes to the World Series finals, or at least the first round of it over in London. That's when we'll probably get a look at a new track or maybe new features. Who knows, and don't take my word for it, but it does seem like it is following that trend that we saw in 2024. Overall though, as for the update, I will still play through it and I will check those patch notes tomorrow morning to see if there's any nice hidden changes alongside the update. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care guys, peace.